Greetings, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to look at leading in Japan. Maishu, arigatou gozaimasu. And welcome back to the 11th year of the Leadership Japan series. I'm your host in Tokyo, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and the 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Prezen no Tachiden. Plus, Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Mude ni suru no wa yamimashou. And all are available on Amazon. This podcast brings insights, examples, and experience about leading in Japan. Trust me, it is different here. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We're not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on Apple Podcasts. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show podcast. Tuesday, the Presentation Japan series. Every second Tuesday, the Business Tachijin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcaster Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show podcast. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Before we get going, today's handy Japanese phrase is Okorete sumimasen. Okorete sumimasen. Okorete sumimasen. Sorry for being late. Sorry I'm being late. Sorry I'm late. Okorete sumimasen. Okorete sumimasen. Sorry I'm late. Okorete sumimasen. Okorete sumimasen. This is episode number 555. And today we are talking about what is different about leading in Japan. There is a debate about whether Japan is any different from anywhere else when it comes to leading the team. Intellectually, I can appreciate there are many similarities because people are people. But I always feel there are important differences. One of the biggest differences is how people are trained to become leaders in Japan. I should really clarify that statement and say how they are not trained to become leaders. The main methodology for creating leaders in Japan is through on-the-job training, OJT. I can see there is a crisp logic to the idea of OJT back in the day. However, it is now a flawed system in the modern world of Japan. In the West, leadership training is a given because the value is recognized, and so the investment is made to better educate the leadership cohorts through each generation. The first problem with Japan, OJT, is it presumes your boss knows about leading. There is very little formal leadership training going on in Japan. I don't believe it is just about investing the money. There's no great tradition here for corporate leadership training. Before we dive into this subject, I believe we should clarify what is a leader in Japan and what is a manager and what is different. Japan, in my observation, is full of managers and there are very few leaders. A manager runs a machine on budget, on quality, and on time. The leader does all of that and two very important additional tasks. The leader persuades the team that the direction they are advocating is the correct one. And secondly, they build up the capabilities of their staff through one-on-one coaching. By the way, barking out orders like a mad pirate captain doesn't qualify as coaching. OJT probably made a lot of sense up until about 50 years ago, when it started to be disrupted by technology. By the 1980s, desktop computing became common in Japan, and gradually the boss lost his, and they were mainly men, his typist and had to start doing his own typing on the computer. The advent of email in the mid-1990s was a real death blow to the boss's time management. Now, the boss had become super busy, and time availability for coaching staff became much diminished. What this means is that we have been through multiple generations of staff, educated mainly through OJT, and who have been shortchanged on the leadership modeling by their manager boss. Each corporate generation passes on how to be a manager to the next generation, and unless there is some intervention through formal leadership training, there's no real progress. Find out more when we come back from the break. Today's show is brought to you by our public courses, but we also do custom in-house programs. We do them in Japanese and we do them in English, do them in our super safe classroom. We do them live online. Our show today is being brought to you by, on the 25th and 26th of April, our High Impact Presentations class. And on the 9th of May, we're doing a 3-day version of our Dale Carnegie course. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. So that's www.dale-carnegie, CARNEGIE.co.jp. You can email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. So that's greg.story, STORY, @dalecarnegie.com. Don't forget to grab my business books on Japan on Amazon. Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese. Japan Business Mastery. Japan Presentations Mastery, which is Anata mo Presen no Tachijin in translation. And Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Budni Suru wa Yamimashou. If you like learning by watching videos, and we have over 2,300 there for you at Tokyo Japan Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 TV shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's the premier business show on Japan. That's every Monday, Tokyo time. Fridays, we have the Japan Business Mastery Show. And on Saturdays, we release Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from SMEs all the way up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. And email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Welcome back. Of course, there will always be exceptions who prove the rule, and some managers who make it out of that gravitational pull of OJT and become real leaders. This is the lightning strike theory of leadership development, and it isn't a great proposition to ensure that the firm's leadership bench is stacked with professionals. The key plank in leadership is no longer task experience. The old model was the boss had done all the tasks of their subordinates and knew their jobs inside out. Today, there is much more speciality, and technology is making sure it isn't experience alone which will carry the day for the boss. Many companies in Japan are moving away from the old model of age and stage and instead promoting people based on ability. Just rotating through various jobs in the machine won't be enough anymore. Leaders have to become expert communicators and masters of environment building such that individuals can motivate themselves. How many leaders receive any training to assist their communication and people skills? Very, very few. And everyone else had to work it out all through trial and error. That hit and miss approach is very expensive. The younger staff want different things to their parents, and the modern boss in Japan has to adjust. The bishi-bishi or super strict model of leadership is now cast out onto the rubbish tip of leadership history in Japan. Bosses still using this model will see their younger staff depart in droves. Already, 30% are leaving after 3 to 4 years of employ, and that number will only get worse as we run out of people to hire and the younger generation all become free agents. The younger generation wants a psychologically safe environment and a lot of personal encouragement by the boss. One of the greatest elements to gaining engagement from staff is they feel the boss cares about them. The way they know that is through the boss's communication skills. If you believe that given people are getting paid, they should be engaged, then there is bound to be a lack of the needed communication of, I care about you, going on. If you don't have well-developed communication skills, then being the boss is only going to get harder and harder. How much communication training do bosses get? Very little. And they certainly don't get much value through OJT because their own bosses were crap communicators, as were their bosses, and back we go through the generations. Japan needs to raise its white-collar worker productivity, and investing in boss leadership and communication training makes a lot of sense. OJT is a dead duck and won't work as the vehicle to get the needed progress on the leadership front. We need a change in thinking about leadership here in Japan to take us forward. Thank you for joining the Leadership Japan series. If you found the program useful, then tell your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. You can contact me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. Until the next episode, take what you thought valuable, put it into action, because idea application is what makes winners winners. So, be one of them. Remember, I'm in your corner, your go-to guy for soft skills training in Tokyo, committed to your success here in Nippon.